Good day, my friends. Today I want to share some thoughts with you. Back home, whenever I visited English courses, I always saw the British flag, the map of United Kingdom, and of course, the English Parliament with its iconic clock tower, which is Big Ben. Since I call my channel a place for people learning English, it only makes sense that I spend some time traveling to one of the most frequently mentioned places, London, the capital of British Isles. Okay, here we go. I know London doesn't need much introduction, but let me open the map and show you the road of my trip. My journey began in Jubilee Garden, a beautiful spot with areas to relax and playground for kids. I was lucky that the weather was sunny and warm, which, as you might know, isn't that common even for London summer. The park was neat and clean, filled with tourists. It borders with the River Thames, and on the distance you can see my destination, Elizabeth Tower, commonly known as Big Ben. Fun fact, it was officially called the Clock Tower until 2012, when it was renamed to celebrate Queen Elizabeth's Diamond Jubilee. As I walk, I passed a huge Ferris wheel, and on the left you might notice some large white structures. Those are actually safety cables that are thick as 2 arms. Here I got a nice souvenir. Walking along the quay, I couldn't help but notice the crowds of tourists, all looking around and talking in the sights. I have always wanted to visit this place, especially since it's one of the first topics you cover in English lessons back home. That's why I decided to explore some of places mentioned in English textbooks. The first stop was Westminster Bridge, which is right in front of us. Here is an interesting fact. In some movies, directors place Tower Bridge, another famous London landmark, right next to Big Ben. But in reality, they are quite far apart, and I didn't have enough time to visit both today. Now I'm crossing Westminster Bridge. It is longer than Tower Bridge, but maybe not as exciting. One thing that stood out to me was the color of the water in Thames. It is brown, almost the same color as the palace walls, which isn't exactly appealing to me. You can also spot the classic double-deck buses on the right. Westminster Palace is truly impressive, as this landmark is a treasure of history lovers and architecture enthusiasts alike. With its stunning Gothic facade that takes you back in time. The palace is a living testament of British democracy. Besides its political importance, its location and view make it must-see for anyone interested in history, culture, and beautiful architecture. And let me tell you, the palace is really massive. Next, I approach the tower to give you a sense of its scale. Sometimes things in traveling guides or videos don't look as big as in real life. For example, I wasn't too impressed with the size of the treasury in Jordan. But here, the scale is really impressive. Behind the tower there is a statue of Oliver Cromwell. Just so you know, Oliver Cromwell was a key figure of the English Civil War, and later became the Lord Protector of England, Scotland and Ireland in the 17th century. It took me about 20 minutes to walk around the palace. Along the way I spot some English police officers wearing their unique helmets. Here is a statue of King Richard I, a 12th century monarch. Unfortunately, I couldn't go inside the palace that day, and you have to book a tour to Clock Tower at least a month in advance. Also preferably as part of school or university group. On the other side there is a small playground and some modern art pieces. From the riverside you can see the strangers' dining room, but I didn't get a chance to visit it either. Here is a statue of George V, King of United Kingdom and Empire of India. I really enjoyed the architecture here and took plenty of footage. If you are interested in a more detailed description, leave a comment below this video and we can arrange live stream where I will show you everything I filmed. I recorded about 3 hours of footage. These streams will be like conversation clubs, so anyone who wants to chat and improve their English skills can join. I will leave more details in description. On the left you can see Westminster Abbey. It's a Gothic-style cathedral and UNESCO World Heritage Site with over 1,000 years of history. The abbey was originally built by Edward the Confessor in the 11th century, and most of current structure was built between 13th and 16th centuries. I also visited the Dean's Yard, a cozy spot compared to the wide streets outside. The abbey has been the site for coordinators of British monarchs since 1066. Take a look at the wall above the entrance to the Committee of the Privy Council. The Privy Council is a formal group of advisors to the Sovereign of United Kingdom. It's made up of senior politicians including current or former members of parliament, as well as other distinguished individuals. The origins of the Privy Council go back to medieval English monarchy, and its role has evolved over time. I really like London cabs. The first time I noticed these taxi cars was in the TV series Sherlock with Benedict Cumberbatch. And let's not forget the classic red telephone boxes. They are an iconic part of British design. The first red telephone box, known as K2, was introduced in London in 1926, but it was a K6 introduced in 1936 for King George V's Silver Jubilee that became the most famous now. The next stop was Trafalgar Square. On my way, I saw a memorial dedicated to women of World War II and a historical museum guarded by horsemen. Further along the street, there is another monument to the Commander-in-Chief of the British Army. Trafalgar Square is one of London's most famous public places, located right in the center of the city. It was created in the early 19th century to commemorate the Battle of Trafalgar, a major British naval victory in 1805. In the middle of the square stands Nelson's Column, a monument dedicated to Admiral Lord Nelson, who led the British fleet to victory. The square is surrounded by notable landmarks, including National Gallery, which houses a huge collection of European paintings, and St. Martin's in Field Church. Trafalgar Square is a popular spot for both locals and tourists, hosting various events, performances, and celebrations throughout the year. The square is adorned with famous sculptures and those iconic bronze lions at the base of Nelson's Column. It's a central hub that gives you access to key London locations like Westminster, the West End, and Covent Garden. Trafalgar Square is not just a historic site, it is also a lively cultural and social space in the heart of London. On the way back, I visited Parliament Square Garden. This green space is right next to the Palace of Westminster and Big Ben, which I mentioned earlier. The square is surrounded by important landmarks like Houses of Parliament, Westminster Abbey, and the United Kingdom Supreme Court. Parliament Square is known for its collection of statues dedicated to various political figures and statesmen. Notable statues include Winston Churchill, Abraham Lincoln, Nelson Mandela, and David Lloyd George. These monuments make the square an important place for historical and political remembrance. The garden is a peaceful retreat in the middle of all the government tourist activity. It's a great spot to relax and enjoy views of surrounding landmarks. Parliament Square Garden is also a popular place for protests, demonstrations, and public gatherings because of its location near the United Kingdom's political center. Overall, it is an important civic place that blends history with modern political activity in London. Eventually, I had to head back home by train, so I made my way to Waterloo Station. Waterloo is one of the major railway terminals in London and one of the busiest in UK. It is located in the Waterloo district and serves as a central hub for trains traveling to and from the southwestern suburbs to London and beyond. Thank you very much for your time today. As usual, do not forget to add 5 new words to your vocabulary. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. See you next time. Ciao for now.